All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Pole Position. We're here back again to talk about the Venice lineup in particular and the fall festivals that have been announced here in the last week or two. I am your host, Jacob Holmes. I'm the writer of Pole Position at Screen Age Wasteland. That's all me. I'm joined once again by, I'm going to call him my co host, Bryan Loomis. He's been with us
Woohoo!
first two episodes and he's back. Raph Stitt was there for the first two episodes. He could not be here today. So, in the words of Guy Gardner in the new Superman movie, you got an upgrade. We got Val Morreale joining us um, today from
Replacement
Screen.
Raph, just for today.
And we get to hear Val's best picture picks for the first time later in this episode. So, we were pretty excited. So the main topic that we're going to be talking about is the fall festival lineups, specifically Venice, because Venice has just kind of sucked everything up, really, honestly. And so there's a couple of other things out there in the other film festivals for this end of the year. But before I got into that, I wanted to take two quick asides to just throw out two movies that I've been thinking about before we go into this. So um, one of them is a movie that I really enjoyed in the theater. It was an enjoyable time. I gave it a pretty good rating, but I've seen some Oscar prognosticators um, talking about this being in the 10, the group of 10, including FYC, which is Perry Nemiroff, Scott Mantz, and Jeff Schneider. Um, they put F1 in their list of 10. And I don't know if you two agree with me, but I'm begging the Academy, please do not let F1 into this list of 10. It just doesn't seem like it
Completely
belongs.
agree.
We don't know what's coming down the pipe as far as quality. We have a lot of excitement, but I don't see a world in which F1 deserves to really be in a group of 10 with the best pictures this year. I don't see that. Brian, have you seen F1?
I've not seen F1 yet. I'll catch it when it comes around. I'm not able to get to the theaters as much as I would like right now. In terms of chances and buzz, I think it's just sort of crowded for that type of movie this year because you're going to have a couple other real big box office players in Wicked and Avatar. You've already got Sinners that has more critical acclaim and also did really well at the box office. So I think it's just sort of crowded in that realm, and there are going to be a lot of more award seasons darlings that do really well with the critics but not so much at the box office, that are more what the Oscars typically goes for. So I don't see it happening, but Top Gun Maverick did really well. Kaczynski's follow up, you can make a case, but I think it's probably on the outside looking in.
Have you had the opportunity to see F1, Val?
I have not. I've watched a few reviews on F1, and pretty much what I've heard is that it's a decent film. It does everything pretty well. Like, it doesn't have any real egregious problems, but is that enough for it to be a Best Picture nominee? Like, I don't think so. I haven't really. I've seen it on a few lists, but it sort of surprised me to see it too because I just haven't heard anyone raving about it. It's more like I saw it and I thought it was okay. And just the idea that it would be in the Best Picture running kind of seems ridiculous a little bit. Just because even
Yeah.
compared to Top Gun Maverick, like Top Gun Maverick just had a lot more buzz around it than F1 has, as far as I understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
It'll get a sound nomination. It's going
but
to get nominated for sound.
it deserves that,
Sure. Yeah.
and it deserves that. And I mean, maybe I don't think it'll get in score. I feel like better scores are coming. Um,
If Sinners doesn't win score, I mean, I'm going to be upset. It's probably going
Ooh.
to go to Wicked, but should be
I don't
Sinners.
know that Wicked can even qualify. It may not be able to be nominated.
Not
Oh,
enough
not enough
original.
original music. You're totally right.
Because of the first movie. It depends on how it's going to be complicated. Um, but then it might have an uphill battle to win. The uh, the other thing about the thing about F1 is it's a very stock sports story. I mean, it's shot really well. Um, Joseph Kosinski brings some of that same adrenaline type filmmaking that he brought from Top Gun Maverick. But to me, it's just not the story is not quite there. It's not like Top Gun Maverick. I mean, not that Top Gun Maverick's story was super special, but it had a lot more juice and it had a lot more buzz. I mean, people liked F1, but I don't feel that it has anywhere near the heat. And honestly, I don't remember. I don't know if they have to have 10 nominees or if it's still up to
Mm.
10. If it's still up to 10, I
I
would
think
go
it is now. It's 10. It's
with
going to be
10.
10 every year. Yeah.
Okay,
They
because
had that
that's
one year where there was 9, but I think they've changed it since. Yeah.
if it was still the up to 10, I would say if you're going to put F1 at 10, I would leave it at 9, because I don't think it really deserves to be there. Um, okay, the other aside that I had was, and I went and saw this film last in the last few days, less than a week ago. Um, it's like the best reviewed narrative film of the year so far, better than Sinners, I think, better than Sinners. Um, but very few people still have been able to see it, and it's been kind of like just tossed on the wayside. And that is Sorry Baby. Um,
I saw it this week.
you saw it?
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
See, look, there's a
I
lot
loved
of
it. Yeah.
one of the things out of Sundance, and this is you can go back and check this. When I wrote my pole position article out of Sundance, there was a lot of chatter about Train Dreams being the most likely best picture
Yeah.
player. But even out of Sundance, looking at reactions, I'm like, I'm not sure that Sorry Baby isn't the better player. I mean, it's got better reviews overall. It's got kind of more excitement to me. Plus, Train Dreams now is kind of buried at Netflix. I think it might come
Yeah.
down to what Marty Supreme is and what the Smashing Machine is, what A24 has on their plate come campaign season. Um, but people are just kind of dismissing Sorry Baby right now. It's like not even in the conversation anymore. And I'm like, that's a real sleeper hit. Like that could easily crack into this best picture race, especially if let's say like there's a lot of similarities in themes to After the Hunt. Let's say After the Hunt kind of falls out the wayside. Maybe people are looking at those and say, "Well, Sorry Baby did this a lot better." Um, if nothing else, I hope that it can get a screenplay nomination. I still have that predicted, but I'm not predicting Sorry Baby in my top 10 right now. I just think it's wrong to rule it out. I think it's a real sleeper that you could put in your 10 and kind of have a shocking correct pick.
Yeah.
Um, but there is a lot on the table. So Brian, you saw it. What do you think about his chances to hit?
Yes. I would nominate it in a heartbeat. I don't think it has a very good chance based on the past month. I similar to you, like out of the Sundance buzz, it did seem to me like it could be sort of this year's past lives debut filmmaker, critically acclaimed, and sort of ride that wave to like a, ninth or 10th best voted best picture nominee, like grab one of those final slots. But it just didn't hit the way you'd want in terms of box office. And they really shuttled it to VOD very quickly, it seemed. So it doesn't seem like A24 is like pushing it in the awards race at this point. So I think they feel like they probably have something else in the canon for later in the year that they can push through. Um so that's the vibe I'm getting from it, but I would love to see it nominated for best picture because I think it's one of the best things I've seen this year. And we're actually going to be recording an episode on it this weekend for my other podcast, What a Picture. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Val, have you seen anything about Sorry Baby?
I have heard the title. I really actually knew nothing about Sorry Baby. It like went completely under my radar. But now hearing you guys talk about it, I'm like, wow, maybe I should check this out. I'm very fortunate to live in a major city where I can usually snag limited release type movies like that in theaters.
It's on
Um,
VOD already if
oh,
you want to do it
geez.
that way. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy. It's
I could
2
also just do
weeks.
that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That was a really short release
Yeah.
window then. Yeah, I'll have to
Written
check it
by
out.
and directed by and starring Eva Victor, which is probably going to be a big contender in our Screen Age Wasteland breakout direction, breakout performance categories. If people see it, I think that will be
Mhm.
a place that where at least here at Screen Age Wasteland will give it some attention, if nobody else will. But yeah, absolutely a very terrific film. If it had enough eyes on it, it would have a chance. Um, because I think it seems like
Yeah.
so many
But
people.
you're right, like screenplay is probably the place if it gets anything that it would pop. Yeah.
Absolutely, because there's a lot of contenders that are adapted this year as well. So to have less competition than obviously the best picture race. Okay, so let's talk about the Venice Film Festival and just how stacked it is. I'm just going to read off what I think are the major players at Venice. If I miss one that you uh, wanted to talk about and I didn't pull it up, just let me know. But we have, well, first of all, Bugonia by Yorgos Lanthimos is making its premiere officially. We have Father, Mother, Sister, Brother by Jim Jarmusch. I just threw that out there. I don't really think it's a player right now. Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro. That's been one of my ride or dies all season long. Um, A House of Dynamite by Catherine Bigelow. It's another Netflix, which is interesting because they have such a stacked roster of films right now. They're really going to have to figure out what to push. We still don't know very much about House of Dynamite, so that's really up in the air. And then speaking of Netflix, Jay Kelly from Noah Baumbach, starring George Clooney and Adam Sandler. A lot of people have this in their top 10 right now. It's hard to ignore it, but it's another Netflix push. We have No Other Choice by Park Chan Wook, which I know a lot of folks at Screen Age Wasteland are looking very forward to. There's a lot of people hoping that he can break into the Oscar race for the first time. We have The Smashing Machine by Benny Safdie, of course, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson in a potential transformative role. That's A24's big player in the fall festivals. We have The Testament of Anne Lee by Mona Fastfold, who is the wife of Brady Corbett, who did The Brutalist. That does not have a distributor yet, which is going to be interesting to watch as we cover Venice. And then, but that is the Amanda Seyfried as the like messianic figure, founder of the Shaker community. I think in the 1600s, if I'm not mistaken. And then my super excited pick, The Wizard of the Kremlin, um, made it into Venice,
Right.
which I predicted back in March, The Wizard of the Kremlin in my top 10 best picture predictions when it looked like it was not coming out this year. So I'm very excited to see that starring Jude Law as
And
Vladimir.
Rental Family's coming out this year as well. So never in doubt, Jacob. Never in doubt.
Yes, we are not there yet
Your
because
original predictions.
and those are the films in the competition, but there's also After the Hunt is out of competition, which is the new Luca Guadagnino film based on a great screenplay. Julia Garner is likely
Jennifer Garner.
to. I just watched Weapons, and her name is similar. Threw me for a
Oh,
loop there.
yeah.
She is very likely to get a Best Actress nomination, in my opinion, for that movie. It doesn't appear that Venice rejected the movie for competition. It seems to be a choice by Amazon and or Luca Guadagnino for it to be out of competition. So I wouldn't read too
Mhm.
much into that. I'm not really sure. No one's really sure what's going on there. So that is a really stacked list, and there's a couple of other films that I didn't mention. Um, Brian, what are you looking forward to seeing reactions for out of that list the most?
Yeah, there's some stuff that I'm not sure what to think of yet. I mean, Bugonia would be the one I'm most anxious to see positive reviews for because I really love Yorgos Lanthimos. So, just in terms of personal anticipation, that's the one that I would be most pleased with getting really positive reviews. I want to see what's going on with Jay Kelly. It got just like a bump in people predicting it for Best Picture. And has anyone seen this movie? I don't really know what's causing that, but Baumbach often doesn't compete for Best Picture. So I think we sort of need to see the movie before committing to it. But seems like people are excited, which is a good sign. I like Baumbach. Um, and then No Other Choice, Park Chan Wook, I'm excited for. Sounds like it's sort of a return to uh the sort of more murder or revenge themed Park Chan Wook type of thing. So that should be fun and interesting.
What do you think about the chances for No Other Choice in the Oscar Best Picture race? I feel like, I mean, if it's really great, obviously it could break through, but
Hmm.
I feel like it has a steeper hill to climb just a little slightly for whatever reason.
Yeah. And they didn't even go for shoot, what was the last one?
Decision
Couple
to
of
leave.
years ago. Decision to Leave, yeah, critically acclaimed and more Oscar friendly in terms of plot and the way it was structured, and it still didn't even get an international nomination. There's probably more awareness for Park Chan-wook now than there was even 3 years ago, but, he was already pretty prominent and beloved in lots of circles, so I don't know, maybe the Academy just doesn't like him very much, unfortunately.
It's also, I mean, there's an uphill battle for any film that's so heavily foreign language. I think to be in
Mhm.
the Best Picture race. Not that it's impossible, obviously. I mean, we've had Parasite win the whole thing,
Yeah.
but Parasite is a
Yeah.
very, very standout movie. Um,
Yeah. But like we were talking about as well with like the big budget stuff, I think the Academy thinks of things in categories, and so there being like a crowded international where you've got sentimental value being a big player, you've got It Was Just an Accident being a Palme d'Or winner, which historically leads to a Best Picture nomination. um you've sort of it's starting to feel a little crowded with the international slot at the moment. I don't think we've ever seen three like truly international films, like completely foreign language films, make it um as nominees. But international is always underrated every year, so we'll see what happens.
um, one thing about this lineup is I'm not sure if I have it on the record or not. I know when we were talking about Cannes, I feel like I said something along the lines of, "Hey, everybody is looking at Cannes because the last couple years Cannes has been um, the big festival that has really influenced the Oscar race." But don't be surprised if that trend doesn't carry through this year. And now it's like super clear to me that Venice is going to have more Best Picture nominees come out of it than Cannes. That's almost that's almost like impossible for it not to in my mind, because the only Best Picture nominees out of Cannes are going to be Sentimental Value and maybe no, It Was Just an Accident, and that's very much on the bubble. Whereas there's so many things here at Venice, I'm obviously looking forward to Frankenstein, because that's been my go-to all season as the front runner for the whole shebang. And a lot of people are not treating it that way. So that would be a really great thing for me. Obviously, I'm really interested into seeing what the kind of reviews the Wizard of the Kremlin is going to get, because now it's releasing this year, but it also could still get reviews that are like, well, this is kind of boring, political, not like it didn't tap into it well, not super exciting. Um, but I have hope. I have hope that um, Paul Dano in that lead role can really do something electric. And yeah, and I'm really looking forward to After the Hunt reviews, because that's been
Mhm.
my other go to since the beginning that I've put a lot of weight on, that I've decided not to ditch until the very last second. I am nervous about the Jay Kelly reviews, because Jay Kelly's currently not in my 10. And if that is as big a player as a bunch of people think it is, that's going to, I'm gonna have to find a spot. But maybe I'll just drop Springsteen out. Val, what are you looking at from Venice? What are you excited about?
Yeah, I am also particularly excited about Frankenstein. I think anytime you have a filmmaker like Guillermo del Toro say that this is a project he's always wanted to do, I mean, it's kind of like Denis Villeneuve said about Dune, that he like always wanted to do it. You have a filmmaker with this much talent thinking about this project over the course of years and it finally coming to fruition. I mean, obviously there's a lot of pressure with that, but I think he's going to deliver. I think it's going to be a really incredible film, and I'm super excited to see that. I also am excited for Park Chan Wook. I think he's got the juice. He's had the juice for a while. It's just I hope this is his year where people notice and he cracks into Best Picture. That would be amazing. I recognize that it's sort of a dark horse pick, um, but I'm particularly excited for it, and I would love to see it as a Best Picture nominee. And I am also excited for Begonia. I have not actually seen Poor Things yet.
Mm.
Um, but I did watch The Lobster and I loved that movie. So
It's
I'm
so
pretty
good.
sure I would
Yeah.
like Poor Things. Still need to check that out. So very interested. Just with the premise of Begonia, I think it's really, really interesting. So those are probably the ones I'm most excited about.
I was personally very iffy on Begonia, in part because it's a new. So with Yorgos Lanthimos, we've had two movies where he worked with a specific screenwriter, The Favorite and Poor Things, where they were nominated for Best Picture, and then several movies where he worked with another screenwriter that did not get any kind of Oscar attention, including The Lobster, I think Killing of a Sacred Deer, and this was a different
Another
screenwriter.
amazing film.
So this is a different screenwriter
Oh,
altogether. And so up until the trailer, I was like, "Was this going to be? How is this going to work out?" And then the trailer came out, and it instantly was like, "Yep, okay, I'm digging the vibe of that," and rooting for it to be in the top 10. Also, I recently saw The Favorite and loved it. So I'm hoping for good things. Let's move on really quick to Toronto, because there are, I guess, a couple of films maybe that were
Well, can
Toronto.
I can I talk about the
The Venice Biennale,
documentaries at
yes,
Venice real quick?
almost.
Maybe no one cares except me. Oh, you're getting back to that?
No, no, you go ahead.
What?
But I almost forgot to give you
Go
your
ahead.
documentary
Okay.
note.
Everybody is gonna be bored except me, probably. But the documentaries at Venice are it's just a really incredible lineup. You've got some like slow cinema auteur people coming out with documentaries, which is really interesting. Simon Lang, who's a wonderful Taiwanese filmmaker, Alexander Sakharov, who is a Russian filmmaker, and some bigger names like Werner Herzog has a documentary, Sofia Coppola has a documentary, Lucretia Martel is a South American filmmaker. Now, those directors are primarily known for their non-documentary work, I would say, though Herzog has done quite a bit of documentary work and is well regarded there as well. But then you also have Laura Poitras's new movie, and she did All the Beauty and the Bloodshed a couple of years ago, which is probably the best documentary so far this century. And you've got a new, very rare film from Ross McElwee, and he directed probably one of my top 5 documentaries ever in Sherman's March. And so I'm just really pumped about this documentary lineup, almost as much as the In Competition lineup, as silly as that sounds to say. I think these documentaries are going to be incredible, and I can't wait to see them.
And that's why we have Bryan on the show, is to have someone pump up the documentary portion, because I cannot say a word about the documentary portion really, other than, I mean, Sofia Coppola. I've enjoyed some of her, fictional work, and All the Beauty and the Bloodshed. I have seen the trailer for that, and it looked like a great, gripping documentary that I have not yet seen. So, but I
It
would
actually came to our indie rep theater, and we saw it in a theater, which is very rare to get to see a documentary in a theater, but it was amazing. Yeah, it's really good.
awesome. Yeah, Val, did you look at the documentaries before coming on the show?
No, I didn't look up any documentaries, though I will say that I do make a note to include at least one either like live action, unscripted, or documentary show in my TV to stream every month for the
Wonderful.
documentary fans. So I did include Shiny Happy People, but I like mostly kind of dabble in the like TV show serialized documentary more than sit down documentaries as of late.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, now moving on to Toronto International Film Festival, we have some. Let's see what's premiering there. Not a few things that could be Best Picture related or Oscars related. Um,
Hamnet.
Hamnet from Chloe Zhao. Yeah, that's one of the
Oh,
ones that was on my initial 10 picks. I don't have it on my 10 anymore. Um, but that's a big one from Chloe Zhao. Obviously, Oscar winning director already. Let's see. Good Fortune, I'm looking forward to from Aziz Ansari, but it is not a best. It's not an Oscar type film. Eternity, the new A24. Have y'all guys seen the trailer for Eternity with Elizabeth
no.
Olsen
I don't
Not
and
watch a
yet.
lot of trailers. I don't really seek them out anymore. Yeah.
well, Eternity is an A24 film actually that stars Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller. I can't remember the other um, man's name, but she basically goes to the afterlife and has to decide which of her earthly husbands to spend eternity with. Um, Miles Teller is the husband that she spent 50 years married to, but before him, she had a husband that died in the war, who's been waiting uh, patiently for 60 years to be reunited with her. And it seems like there's
Oh, geez.
some great comedy elements to that, of course, but some great drama. It looks very. I'm very excited about that film. I don't think it has any particular Oscar prospects unless it surprises everybody. And if I'm not, oh, okay, hold on. There's the way this is divvied up is a little bit okay. So, Ballad of a Small Player. That's the new film from Edward Berger, who is two for two with Conclave and All Quiet on the Western Front. Certainly, a lot of people still have Ballad of a Small Player as one of their top 10 options. So that is something to watch. Um, a lot of this is
He's
just
0 for 2 in my book. 0
well,
for 2 in the Bryan Oscars.
I loved All Quiet on the Western Front, and I appreciated Conclave a pretty decent bit. But uh, we have Lost Bus by Paul Greengrass. That was getting a lot more attention early in the cycle. Matthew McConaughey driving a bus through Los Angeles wildfires. The fact that it's Los Angeles wildfires is really the reason that anybody had it on their radar because of how that might play to Academy voters. But that seems to have cooled off. There is the movie Hedda from Nia DaCosta, starring Tessa Thompson as the titular Hedda, who is that's a story based on a real woman who um, who did some important things that I can't remember at this moment. If anybody uh, can fill me in on that, that would be. But that was one that was talked about a little bit earlier on and hasn't gotten as much attention. But um, the real big debut is Rental Family. That is getting a lot of buzz now. Starring Brendan Fraser as a an actor in Japan that people can rent to be a part of their family, pretend to be part of their family. And that was on my initial top 10 list way early on, and that was a pretty interesting pick. A lot of people are now adding that. My dog's going crazy. Come here, Lottie. Okay, so um,
Dogs are so disrespectful of podcasts, you know?
they really are, and I had to have her in here because she would be tearing down the door if she was not, and now she's barking up a storm because there's probably like a big truck or something. Oh, Blue Moon by Richard Linklater. That's making its debut. He already had um no Nouvelle Vague right at Cannes, so this is
Right.
Linklater's second movie of the year. Starring Ethan Hawke. It's a music biopic, but most people think Nouvelle Vague is the better of his movies to have a chance. But we will see. There's a new Hamlet movie starring Riz Ahmed that just randomly came out of nowhere. Um, that's going to be at TIFF, so that's something to watch. And as far as international goes, too, Left Handed Girl has the involvement of Sean Baker. And Brian, you might know a little bit more about. I think it's someone he's worked with a lot. Is the actual director of that movie, but their name escapes me.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, this premiered not in competition, but out of competition at TIFF and was pretty well reviewed, and then it's going to, just drop on Netflix, I think, in November, so that's interesting. Director Shi Ching-su, um, who, like you said, I know has worked with Sean Baker some, and he's a producer on the movie, so could be really interesting. Um, so we'll see how it is, but I'm certainly going to check it out.
and then it's been getting a lot of love from its premiere. I don't know much about it, but also returning to TIFF is Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, which has gotten a lot of attention, but I don't know about its Oscar chances. So, um, lots of stuff there at TIFF, kind of picking up in the holes. Um, is there anything from TIFF that stands out to either of you? You can start with
Why don't
Val.
you go first on this one, Val? Yeah.
Okay. Well, definitely Hamnet has sort of been on my radar as one to watch. Just sounds like a really interesting story. It's got a great cast. Chloe Zhao already won for Nomadland, so it would not surprise me um, that movie would be excellent. Other than that, a lot of these have not been on my radar. Um, Obviously, one I saw. This is not going to be an Oscar, but it looks like the new Ryan Johnson Knives Out movie is going to premiere at
Yeah.
TIFF. Um, I am a little bit of a Ryan Johnson hater, like not completely. Like I do think like he's a good filmmaker. I just don't think he's like the best filmmaker. Um, I sort of wonder how long he can kind of continue these movies. It could be good. I think good is the best we can hope for with that. It might be bad. We'll see.
Well, I mean, it's a good point though because that actually is one that I kind of glossed over there, not realizing it for a second what that was. But yes, Wake Up Dead Man does actually, I think, have an outside. I mean, these movies have been talked about before for Best Picture, and I don't really think it has that big of a shot. But you always got to keep your eyes peeled for the reactions to it. I think it'll end up being very similar, probably to Glass Onion in the way it doesn't make it. But
Hmm.
Brian, what are you looking at?
Sure. So, do you want in terms of awards potential or just what I'm excited about?
which one? What are you excited about, and what do you think might have a surprise kind of shot out of TIFF at the at making this awards potential?
Yeah. I mean, nothing beyond what you mentioned, in terms of awards potential. Interested in Ballad of a Small Player, and that could go well. Always love seeing, Colin Farrell in things. Would love for him to get an Oscar at some point, so that would be very exciting. Though it should have been for The Lobster, like we talked about earlier. Man. I'm personally, I guess, interested in the movie Rose of Nevada, directed by Mark Jenkin. He directed Bait and Ennis Men, which are sort of like smaller indie type of things, and really interesting and good. Not going to contend for awards probably, but very interesting. I could see the Mona Fastvold one really taking off if it's as good as it could be, because it sounds like she and Brady Corbet are really creative partners, and she probably didn't get as much creative credit for The Brutalist as maybe she should have. And so now we're going to see, her maybe get the credit that she should have gotten already. So really interested in that one, and seeing how it does. But yeah, I think you covered it pretty well in terms of what's a contender here, and what's premiering. One other film to note: Steven Soderbergh cannot stop working. He has a third movie this year premiering,
Wow.
and it's called The Christophers. So could be interesting.
Yeah, well, I loved his last movie that premiered
Black
this
Bag.
year, Black
Yeah.
Bag. It's
It was
totally
good.
going to be on my favorite films for the year, at least so far. It's totally not going to get any award buzz, but I think it's just return to form for him of like the Ocean's days of making like a really fun little thriller that's just great from start to finish. So I'll definitely be interested to see that.
Absolutely. It was great.
I enjoyed it okay, but it's somewhat down my list comparatively to you guys. And I didn't see Presence yet, but it seems like a very interesting concept. Um, yeah, so um, a couple of movies that could have appeared here that look like they're headed for 2026. I just would think of Mother Mary, which has been A24 has been developing that for years now, from David Lowery starring Anne Hathaway, and it doesn't look like it's coming out this year. As far as any, it's definitely not hitting the festivals. So that's out of the race. And then there's also another A24 film that was possibly going to come out this year with Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, The Drama by Christopher Borgli, I think, and that has not shown up here, so wouldn't expect that to be any kind of player. Um, and then we have one more film festival film. Is This Thing On from Bradley Cooper, Searchlight Pictures, kind of dramedy film that will premiere at New York Film Festival. I don't think there's a whole lot else that hasn't been covered already. If we think of some, there are at least like five major Oscar Best Picture contenders though that are just not premiering at any of these festivals. We have One Battle After Another.
Yeah.
We have Marty Supreme,
Hmm.
Avatar: Fire and Ash, Wicked for Good. Um, that's four, and then there's one more, I think, but either way, that's four right there. That major major Best Picture contenders that just have completely skipped the festivals. Oh, and well, Springsteen, the music biopic route
Yeah.
Hmm.
that we're all kind of over.
Yeah.
Um, but no festivals. It doesn't at this point that we know of. So
Yeah. And that seems more common to me. I don't know how to feel about Marty Supreme not showing up at any festivals. Like, is it a bad sign uh that A24 isn't pushing it earlier to get some critical reactions? Do they feel like they're not going to get the critical reactions that they would hope for, and so they're holding it back. But they might just know that they don't need it because they've got Timothy Chalamet, and the Safdies have a pretty big cult following. So it's probably fine, but I'm just a little bit nervous now. Just a little bit nervous.
So I actually read a little bit about Marty Supreme today, and it seems like some people have seen it, but there's been like NDAs. Have you heard about this?
No.
That I was reading an article about this, that essentially it's people were giving it some good feedback. They said there was a lot of long takes, some good acting, but that was like it. Like there was nothing coming out because I guess the people that have seen it, the reviewers, have been asked to sign NDAs.
Hmm.
So that is really weird. um, I don't know why they're doing that, but yeah, I'll be interested to hear more about it when things start to inevitably come out about it.
Yeah. And it could, I mean, if you can hit in December and ride the wave of buzz, like
Hmm.
that's a whole lot easier to do in theory than premiering over the summer and maintaining the hype that long. But then you run the risk of like, well, the race has already sort of been decided by the pundits already, so you can't crack in. So
Yeah. No,
runs
I
a
completely
risk,
agree.
but I think it's going to get enough attention that it'll get its shot. It'll get
Hmm.
its shot.
Yeah.
And alternatively, the rollout of Sorry Baby from A24. And we can't forget Highest to Lowest is also A24. I think that one, I had that one on early.
That's had some mixed reviews, though, is what I had
Yeah,
heard.
that's fallen off of my list, but that is A24 as well. But but the rollout of Sorry Baby makes it seem like they're confident in something, whether that's the Smashing Machine or Marty Supreme or whatever that might be. But you just never know. You never know. So I want to go ahead with Brian and look rehash where we are currently at with our top tens, because we made predictions a while back that have obviously changed a lot. And I know at one point, Brian, through our Slack, we were 9 out of 10 of our picks were the same. But that's been a little bit, and I know
Yeah.
that's not going to be the case anymore. What were our picks? I'm trying to think of what our picks were at the time, but I don't know that I can conjure
I've
that
been
back up.
tinkering. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember where I was at.
I know that our difference
I can
was,
tell
I
you where
think,
I'm at now though.
okay, Brian, go ahead and take it away
Yeah.
and at your
I
current
I
10.
had Die My Love in there. I've taken Die My Love out. It doesn't seem like it's maintaining any sort of buzz from Cannes, which is a bummer. I'm still excited to see it. Um okay, so I have these sort of in order. So we'll go top most confident to least confident, I guess. Sentimental value I think is in there. It's gotten enough buzz. I've got um Sinners at number 2. I think it's in there. I think it's almost a lock to get nominated at this point. Um then I've got Wicked for Good. Um and I do have Frankenstein still as my Netflix movie getting in. I haven't bumped it for Jay Kelly. It seems like a lot of people have flip flopped those two. I want people to have seen Jay Kelly before we do that. So I've got Frankenstein in there. Val, like you were saying, Guillermo del Toro, Passion Project. He's the type of director who was born to make a spin on Frankenstein. The Academy loves um, re-examining films that have been done over and over again. You know, you had Nosferatu getting lots of nominations last year. A Star is Born before that. So that sort of thing tends to do well. I think Frankenstein's probably in there. I've got One Battle After Another, Bugonia, which we've already talked about. Avatar Fire and Ash, I think, is going to make a lot of money and probably get in there. The people just love James Cameron too much and they want him at their award show. Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere, the obligatory music biopic slot. I do have Marty Supreme in there, though I'm starting to waver in my belief that it's going to get nominated. And then the last slot I have, it was just an accident bumping out Die My Love Now. So that's my second international, and just the Palme d'Or win. If you win the Palme d'Or recently, you're probably getting a Best Picture nomination. So I feel pretty good about its chances.
My only reason I don't take that tack, and it was just an accident, is not in my top 10, is because I feel like it was a hair's breadth between sentimental value and it was just an accident. And I just think sentimental value is the can player regardless of whether it won Palme d'Or, you know? Not that it was just an accident, doesn't deserve Palme d'Or or deserve to be in this 10. I obviously have not seen it, and I'm excited to see it. But it has a lot, even though sentimental value is also foreign language to a degree, there is at least English in it, and notable American stars in it, that I think
Yeah.
obviously, and Neon's got both of those films, so Neon will have to
Well,
kiss both of them. Go ahead, Brian.
that's true that it's the same distributor, but the counterpoint would be Zone of Interest and Anatomy of the Fall were both Cannes premieres, both got Best Picture nominations, and were the same thing where it was those were the two that were most buzzed for the Palme d'Or, and then they both ended up with nominations. So it can happen.
You absolutely can have 2 films, 3 films from Cannes. I mean, we had 3 films from Cannes last year, Emilia Perez, The Substance, and, something else I can't remember.
Honora. Yeah.
Anora, yes, Anora.
Honora, Palme d'Or winner.
Anora
Honora.
premiered at Cannes and was the Palme d'Or winner, thank you. Um, I think that slipped my mind because it feels so unlike a Cannes movie. Um, anyway, so without further ado, I'll do my list. Still at number 1 is Frankenstein. The stills that have been released from that I mean, costume, production design, like those are kind of, it's going to win below the line awards. The question is whether it's going to get the story
Have you seen the
and the
trailer?
performance. And the trailer was very good. The stills have me more excited than the trailer itself, but the trailer was pretty good. After the Hunt is my number 2 just because I have been stumping for it all season. The trailer didn't actually sell me as much as my confidence in it just from the screenplay, but I still am choosing to have faith in that for now. My next 2 are just the 2 that we think are locks because of the reaction that have actually been seen, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. I didn't have Sentimental Value on my original 10. I tried to play it coy and then got burned. So it's just time for Sentimental Value to be in. Sinners feels like a lock to make the 10. I don't think it has very much of a chance at winning the whole thing. I don't it could. Some people think it really could like bust out. I don't think it's going to go there, but I think it's almost a lock to get in. I do also have Wicked for Good. And that's one we haven't gotten to talk about as much on this podcast today, so we might circle back around to that, especially because I feel Val will have that. Begonia, I moved it up after the trailer because it looks very self assured and very fun, and it's Yorgos Lanthimos, so I was holding out anyway. Um, I have Avatar: Fire and Ash, although I get less confident in that every day, as I feel like there's more solid artsy contenders. I feel like Avatar: Fire and Ash is a blockbuster that could slip off, especially if the story doesn't perform. Um, and then I have Rental Family, which so that's back on the list because I took it off at one point, um, and now it's getting all the buzz again. And I'm like, yeah, it's definitely Searchlight seems very very confident in it, very committed to it. I really think Brendan Fraser is going to make another actor play. Um, I still have Springsteen in as the obligatory music biopic slot, but that's also something that I think could fall off this list. but it does have some strong actors in it. It has a pretty good shot. Um, and then I have Wizard of the Kremlin. I brought it back from my initial top 10 because I had it initially for a reason, because I believe that Paul Dano, it's also a great pairing. If you can, things have changed a lot. If Russia and Ukraine happens to have any kind of spike around nomination time, it's going to have a huge potential to rise up the rankings. But it's also a good pairing with Wicked because Wizard of the Kremlin is also obviously not a Wizard of Oz reference, so you got that kind of thing going on. So some synergy. But yeah, it's not too different than what I had originally, strangely. But I did knock off One Battle After Another, which has been a staple of mine and
Yeah.
Brian's and Raph's list. I just something tells me it might not be picture, but then the trailer looks great, so it's like right off at number 11 probably for me. Um,
Well, here's the case for One Battle After Another falling is that Warner Bros. Already has Sinners. So let's say hypothetically, One Battle After Another underperforms at the box office, which, given its reportedly massive budget, it could do well and still be considered an underperformance. Maybe Warner Brothers then decides, hey, we've got all this love and momentum for Sinners. Maybe we just put all of our, money on that horse, and they don't run One Battle After Another very much at that point. Now, the problem is that Paul Thomas Anderson makes really good movies, and so critics are going to love it, and that's going to just keep it in the race, I think. But there's a case that because Warner Brothers also has Sinners, they might just not run it as hard.
my dream is that One Battle After Another is amazing, and that Jay Kelly is amazing, and that No Other Choice is amazing, and that we just have way too many movies to stuff into the 10. Um, but
Yeah.
it's so hard to figure out which of those 10, if they're all amazing, which of those 10 will fit. It's so hard to predict. It's gonna be so much easier in a month if we get a couple of movies. 1 second. Okay, we lost connection to the server for a
Yeah, it
second, but
flashed
we're
that
back.
we lost connection for a second and then it came back.
I
Okay,
think we're all good. Yep.
yeah, we're good. So, so that will help us tremendously, but for now, we look like we have a wealth of movies, which brings us to Val and hearing for the first time how her 10 aligns, and it'll be great to see how close it is or how far off it is from ours. I'm excited.
Oh man, I do feel like the amateur of the group here because a lot of these I included. I mean, there is a lot of overlap, but some of these I included just or didn't include because I just want these to win and not others. Um,
Did
I
make a
I
list with your heart, Val. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
yeah,
Start with
I
the
I
overlap.
did have these are in no particular order. But I did have Sinners. I think there's no world in where Sinners is not nominated. Just the fact that it premiered in April and people are really still talking about it and still as it went to streaming it's getting buzz again. Like I just think there's no world in where it's not in it doesn't get a nomination. I don't think it will win either, but I do think it will be nominated. I included the Smashing Machine. I think
Mm.
that's going to be A24's one that they've run. We'll see. I included Hamnet. I think that's going to be really, really good. I think whether or not it remains to be seen, like where it's going to fall in the order for me. I also included Begonia and Wicked for Good. I have a lot of caveats about that though. Frankenstein, I think will do very well. I think that's going to be their like obligatory like horror adjacent pick. I mean, I guess Sinners is also horror adjacent, but like Frankenstein is much more of like a period piece, classic literature book adaptation kind of thing, like Nosferatu. Technically, I mean Nosferatu, yeah. I included No Other Choice, mostly just because I want to believe. Um, uh,
Woohoo!
I also included One Battle After Another, really just for the reasons you guys talked about. Makes great movies. I would love to see it included. I included After the Hunt because I think Luca Guadagnino's got the juice and he makes great movies. He's been included a lot of times previously in Best Picture nominees. I feel like it's a safe bet. And then I also included Rental Family because I do think that I think Brendan Fraser has a lot of goodwill. I think he's going to do really, really well. Um, and it looks like a great film, honestly. And like you said, that like Searchlight is pushing it pretty hard. So
I mean, it's like
I'm
Searchlight's
definitely looking
only
forward to seeing it.
film to push, and it definitely
Hmm.
feels like it's going to be very heartwarming. It really feels like it's the front runner to win the TIFF People's Choice Award. Um, just the kind of movie that would win the TIFF Audience Award. So
Yeah.
that's a
I do have a
strong.
hot take on Wicked if you want me to get into it now or hold
Yeah,
my thoughts for
no, go ahead.
Wicked. I think it will be a nominee. I think it is going to be a critical failure. I'm like going on the record right now as to, and I have reasons
I
why I believe that.
I think critics will want to dislike it, probably.
Well, the reason being that like I'm very familiar with the show
Yeah,
and the show's second half is just well known to be less interesting than the first half.
yeah.
So certainly they're going to add more music, they're going to add more action beats. But really, if you take a look, and I don't know if you want spoilers or not, and just Google the Act Two synopsis, you'll find yourself going like, "What?" Like it's not good in terms of story. But I think more than that, there's also the concern of just less of the singing is going to be Arrivo and Grande, and they're the powerhouse performers, so you're asking like, the really weak singers, like Michelle Yeoh and um Jeff Goldblum, to take more of a leading role vocally. I think that's
Mm,
not going to go over well. Like I just don't see it going over well. And yeah, I don't think it's going to do well critically at all. I don't think there's any shot in that, but that's my hot take.
Well, I'll let Brian chime in next. I think that one, I think it will be very hard for it to be nominated if it doesn't have a good critical reception. I think if there's
mhm.
major problems, I think it could easily fall out of this top 10. Um, I have a lot of faith and hope that everyone's aware that the second half of Wicked, the musical, is thought of in that manner, and that John M. Chu and the folks who are doing the story felt very liberated to change a lot. I know for one thing they do have a new original song for Arrivo and a new original song for Grande, so that bolsters their musical performances. Maybe they cut some of the music from the weaker singers. Um, I I think they were very faithful overall in the first half, and I think they're going to be a lot less faithful in the second half. Is my feeling, because I think people aren't very attached to the second half like they are the first half, and so I hope that they see a chance to basically fix the second half of the musical in the movie version and make it something that is more satisfying. That's from someone who has not seen the
Yeah.
musical. Uh,
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that would be great to see. I think it, to give a spoiler free overview of the second half, the problems with it is that it's the part where the author went, okay, I've got to shoehorn in Wizard of Oz now, and I've got to make it make sense. So we've got to shoehorn in all the Wizard of Oz characters. And it's sort of fundamental to the story to be like, oh, and here's the Tin Man, and oh, here's the Cowardly Lion, or whatever. So, like, that part of the story is real weak. I I hope they can make it better. Um, but I don't know how they'll do that. Maybe they will.
Yeah.
the other thing,
Yeah,
without
it's gonna be
go ahead, Brian. I want your thoughts on it.
yeah, it's gonna be tricky if it doesn't get good critic reviews, but I think it's gonna, a sequel to a movie that did that well and had such legs in the movie theaters it's going to hit hard at the box office and people are going to be talking about it. It's going to be in the culture. So I think it can carry, and it's a different type of box office success movie than, I mean, we're conjecturing about like One Battle After Another or Avatar, but certainly Sinners. Those are different types of people who go and see like the action movie or the vampire movie than go see Wicked. And so you've got a different voting block who's going to turn out and support Wicked for good, like they did the first Wicked movie. Um, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with critics and if it's well liked, but it's got as good odds as any, you know?
And keeping this as apolitical as possible, the other thing I think could propel this movie, if it sticks the ending, and I'm just assuming the ending, part of the ending here, as anybody probably could, if the wizard gets his comeuppance, there may be a specific segment of Academy voters and of the country that feels like that resonates to certain real world events and things. And so that may be enough to push it, if that is joyful enough feeling, that may could push it across the line as well. Um, Same thing with Wizard of the Kremlin, is how that movie to critics resonates not just with how things are in Russia, but any parallels to America that could give it a boost in this moment as compared to if it came out any other time. I think it has a better chance because of the topics and the themes. Um, were there any other
Yeah,
movies that we picked in our best picture race that we want to talk about? I know Val did not put Springsteen in, and I think Brian and I would be
I
pretty
didn't.
happy for that one to just be out of there as well.
Val, you're thinking with your heart. It's a spiteful pick from me of there has to be a music biopic. There always is. So fine, you can have this slot. I'm not particularly excited about
Yeah,
Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere, though I do like Jeremy Allen White. He's very talented. Okay, I've got a question for you all. Do you feel like Sinners has the same, are we at the point with Sinners this year where we were the Everything Everywhere All at Once year, where there's that much buzz and love for the movie over time that's gonna just like keep it in the cultural consciousness? It sort of feels similar to me in terms of
maybe.
the amount of love, but I don't know that it's quite there.
I would say
It's hard to say.
the main difference to me is that Everything Everywhere had a really long rollout. I'm not sure if it rolled
That's
out.
true.
I think it rolled out well into July, maybe August, versus Sinners, which was a big moment in April, and people still are chattering about it. I
Mhm.
mean, it still has a huge push. I do think it's similar in many ways to Everything Everywhere as far as debuting early and still having a lot of chatter at this point in the year. But I don't think the
Mhm.
only difference is way more people have seen Sinners early rather than Everything Everywhere, seeing it as it comes out
Yeah.
towards the fall.
It was a slow burn, yeah, and the Everything Everywhere was a much weaker crop of movies for the year because that was a COVID year, so I'm not saying that Sinners is going to win Best Picture. It just feels to me at this point like I'm still hearing about Sinners now the same way that I was still hearing about Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's definitely
Where it's
true.
just, like, stayed in the cultural consciousness. Yeah.
S- So
But I
I
will
kind of wonder if Sinners. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Val. Go ahead.
No, I sort of wonder if Sinners is going to be more like this year's The Substance, because, like, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once in some ways had more broad appeal. Because Sinners is pretty violent at times. I mean, it's not violent compared to other movies in that genre, but I've talked to a few people that are like, I turned it off because it was too much for me. So I wonder if it's just going to be a little too out there for some people for it to really be as successful as Everything Everywhere All at Once, because I think like Everything Everywhere All at Once did appeal to like a broad swath of people.
That's a
Um,
good point. Yeah, that's a
I
really good
because it
point.
didn't
also
have the same kind of violence.
you could also look at it as similar to Dune 2, which everybody still really loved heading into the fall Oscar, and really people here, like people here, we all loved it all the way through to the end. But Academy voters and things, just it's like it fell a little and then fell a little. I don't think it will fall off like Dune, but I think it's in that
Yeah.
same vein as far as coming out big, and also the other the with the comparison to Everything Everywhere all at once. Everything Everywhere is such a unique voice and like wild film, whereas Sinners, as great as it is to many people, and I really liked it too, um, it doesn't feel as groundbreaking as
Hmm.
because it's not as out there. It's not as pushing the envelope, and so you know, I still think though. I think we're all in agreement that Sinners is just like definitely almost a lock to get nominated. The question is
Yeah.
Oh
where it
yeah.
will be. I think it will probably end up being the most popular film from this year, no matter almost no matter what happens. But it may not be the one that wins Best Picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be the one in 10 years that we say that should have won Best Picture, the
Yeah.
way that we tend to do, where it hit at a weird time. It wasn't prognosticated to be a Best Picture winner, and so then it was like, oh, we really like this, but we're Academy Award winner voters, and we have to vote a particular way, and so they don't get the one that's going to last, you know?
Hmm.
I still
So could be that,
personally,
but
I do still personally have my own issues with Sinners. Um, Even though I think it's deserving of a Best Picture slot, I personally wouldn't want necessarily vote for it to win because I have certain story issues with it, and certain things that didn't connect fully for me. Um, Even though it has the best scene of the year, and it's going to be very hard to top that scene um, as best scene of the year. The
they
movie,
should add that category. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can give it to Sinners. Yeah.
well, we have that category, so even if you
Yeah. I was
don't
gonna
get the
say.
Oscar, you get to see it in the Stallweeds. Um, I'm guaranteed for best scene of the year nomination, probably a win. Because what
Definitely.
else are people talking about for? There's no scene challenger right now, and I can't imagine one. Um, Absolute masterpiece of a scene. But yeah, I could see it getting lost because we haven't really seen the fall movies yet. It's all going to depend on this
Jacob,
slate.
you're forgetting the cell phone store scene in Friendship where he goes on the Toad trip. Yeah, this
The
is the
Toad
best
Trip
scene
to
of the year.
Subway.
The
That
Toad
was a
trip.
that was a pretty fun scene. That is a standout. We'll have to remember that one. People do love that scene quite a bit. Personally, I would have one or two scenes from Final Destination Bloodlines myself. Um,
Would you? I haven't seen it yet.
the opening
I
scene,
like the one where he gets stuck on the fan.
that's a great scene, but the opening scene, in my opinion, a lot of people talk about the MRI scene, but
Mm,
I really think the opening scene is what should be remembered the most, just for its complexity and fun. But yeah, that's pretty much a wrap on the fall festival and our last chance to make predictions blind before we start to hear what other people critics actually think about these films. We had our hopes dashed a bit on Highest to Lowest and Die My Love at Cannes, and now we get our chance to have our hopes dashed on some other films. But
I'm ready. I'm ready to have my hopes dashed.
I
Can't
really
wait.
hope to. It would be great to have you guys. I don't know if you've seen Award Expert or use Award Expert, but it's a great social app for keeping track of your awards, and it would be pretty fun, I think, to have a bunch of Screen Age Wasteland folks on there just to see how we ultimately shake out in comparison to each other. But it's been
Yep.
really fun
I'm on
talking.
there. I'm on there now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. We'll have to get together afterward to make sure that we can follow each other, and then maybe next podcast we'll all announce our channel names. So if we have viewers, they can follow us as well. Um, yeah, it's been a real pleasure talking to you guys. A little bit shorter episode today, which is great, and hopefully we'll be back around soon because in September I think it will be time to talk about predictions based on actual evidence and not just conjecture. So
Yeah. It's very very hard to predict accurately when no one has seen the movie, because when people see it and say, this actually isn't good," that can just kill it. Yeah, kill a movie's chances. So,
and
we will see.
that's the fun balance of everything because you have the once everybody's seen it and you have some reviews in, you're no longer getting to be like, yeah, I knew that was going to be good. Now you're like, okay, let's. Then you're trying to pick apart reactions, um, which is also fun, but it's a totally different kind of game. My biggest pride of last year was I think I said in October, maybe on pole position, that it was between Honora and the Brutalist, and I stuck by that. And there were some wild turns with Amelia Perez there for a while. But
Don't even
ultimately,
remind me about that film.
I feel like Oscar night came down to Honora and the Brutalist. Could be wrong about the Brutalist. Obviously, not wrong about Honora. um, maybe Conclave was the second, but we will never know. But I think it was the Brutalist personally. So we're going to try and be accurate. Who knows? Maybe in a month we'll all be on the same page again after these reactions.
Who knows?
All right. Well, good, great talking to you guys, and we will see you in the wasteland.
All right. See
Yeah.
y'all. Bye.